The morning started like any other on mining station Theta 7. Vexstar walked through the metal halls, checking the daily reports on his small screen. The numbers looked good. The mining machines had pulled out 3 tons of blue crystals yesterday. The workers were healthy. The food supplies would last another 6 months. Vexstar was proud of his colony. He had led these 847 Zephyrians for 3 years now. They had built a strong home on this distant planet called Kepler-4 for to see. The red sun gave them light and warmth. The ground gave them the precious crystals their people needed. His thick, gray skin caught the artificial light as he walked. Like all Zephyrians, he stood 8 feet tall, with long arms and large, dark eyes. His people were strong. They were smart. They did not need help from anyone. The first sign of trouble came at noon. Administrator Vexstar called Kyle Vin, the young communications worker. His voice sounded worried. The star is acting strange. Vexstar hurried to the control room. On the big screen, he could see their red sun. Bright flashes danced across its surface. The star was having what humans called solar flares, but Vexstar did not know about humans yet. "How bad is it?" asked. "Very bad," said Nexel, the chief engineer. She pointed at the readings on her screen. "The star is throwing out strong energy waves. They will hit us in 2 hours." Vexstar felt cold fear in his chest. Solar flares could destroy their machines. They could kill his people. "Can we protect the colony?" he asked. "I will try," Nexel said. "But our shields are not made for this kind of attack." The next 2 hours felt like days. Nexel and her team worked fast to strengthen their defenses. They moved all the workers into the deep underground areas. They shut down everything they did not need. When the solar storm hit, it felt like the planet was shaking. The lights went out. Emergency power came on, casting red shadows everywhere. Sparks flew from broken machines. The air smelled like burning metal. Then silence. Vexstar stood in the dark control room waiting. Slowly, some of the machines came back to life, but many did not. "Report," he said to his team. Kylvin's voice was quiet. "The main communication array is dead. The long-range radio is broken. We cannot talk to the homeworld." Excel added more bad news. 3 of our transport ships are damaged. Their engines will not start. The 4th ship might work, but its navigation system is broken. Vexstar felt the weight of leadership on his shoulders. Without communications, they could not call for help. Without working ships, they could not leave. They were alone on this distant world. "What about our supplies?" he asked. "Food will last for months if we are careful," said the supply manager, an older Zephyrian named Zefter. "Water recycling is working, but the main generator took damage. Power will be limited." Over the following days, Vexstar learned just how bad things were. The mining equipment was broken. It could not get more crystals to trade. The medical machines were damaged. Dr. Villana had to treat patients with basic tools and old medicines. But the worst problem was not the broken machines. It was the fear young Zephyrians gathered in small groups, whispering about rescue. They wanted to send out distress signals on the emergency radio. They wanted to ask for help. The older Zephyrians, led by Elder Zefter, said no. Their culture taught them that asking for help was shameful. Strong people solved their own problems. Weak people died, and that was nature's way. "We are Zephyrians," Elder Zefter told the worried families. "We do not beg for rescue like children. We find our own way, or we face our fate with honor." Vexstar found himself caught between the 2 groups. Part of him agreed with the elder. Their people had always been proud and independent, but another part of him looked at the frightened children and worried parents. Was honor worth more than their lives? Weeks passed. The food supplies dropped lower each day. 3 Zephyrians died when a water pipe burst and flooded the lower levels. They could not fix it properly without the right parts. Kylvin came to Vexter one evening. The young worker looked thin and tired. "Administrator," he said quietly, "I have been listening to radio signals from space. There are other ships out there, other people traveling between the stars." "Other Zephyrians?" Vexstar asked with hope. "No," Calvin shook his head. "The signals are different. Strange. I think they come from another species." Vexstar felt his hope die. Aliens would not help them. Even if they wanted to, how could they communicate? How could they trust strangers from another world? But as more weeks passed and more of his people grew sick, Vexstar began to wonder if they had any choice left. The colony that had once been strong and proud was now struggling to survive each day. The proud Zephyrian way was leading them all toward a slow, quiet death among the stars, and in the cold darkness of space no one would hear them die. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the UES Wanderer. The stars looked the same as they had for the past 3 weeks, long, boring, and empty. He sipped his coffee and watched his crew work at their stations. The Wanderer was not a big ship. It held only 32 people. They were explorers, sent out by Earth to map new star systems and look for planets that humans might use someday. It was important work, but it was also very quiet work. Captain, called Lisa Garcia from her communications station, "I am picking up something strange." Jake put down his coffee cup. After 3 weeks of silence, any signal was interesting. "Kind of strange?" he asked. Lisa frowned at her screen. She pushed buttons and turned dials, trying to make the signal clearer. "It sounds like a distress call, but it is very weak. And the pattern is not like anything I have seen before." First Officer Ryan Cooper walked over to look at Lisa's screen. Ryan was a careful man who always followed the rules. "Are you sure it is a distress call? Could it be natural radio noise from a star?" "No," Lisa said. "Listen to this." She played the signal through the speakers. It was mostly static, but Jake could hear a pattern underneath. Beep, 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 beep. Pause, beep, beep, beep. It repeated over and over. "That is not natural," said Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's doctor. She had come up from the medical bay to listen. Something intelligent made that signal. Chief Engineer Ben Parker looked up from his workstation. "Where is it coming from?" Lisa worked on her computer for several minutes. "The signal is very weak, but I think it is coming from the Kepler system. It's about 6 days away from here." Jake felt his heart beat faster. The Kepler system was not on their mission plan. Earth Command wanted them to explore 3 other systems first. But if someone was in trouble, double quotes, "Could it be one of our ships?" Ryan asked. Lisa shook her head. "Check the Earth fleet. Database. No human ships are supposed to be in that area." The bridge became quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. "If it was not a human ship, then what was it?" "Could be aliens," said Ben quietly. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Humans had been exploring space for 50 years, but they had never found another intelligent species. Some people said aliens did not exist. Others said they were hiding. A few said they were dangerous. "What does First Contact Protocol say?" Jake asked Ryan. Ryan pulled up the rules on his screen. "If we encounter unknown alien technology or signals, we should observe from a safe distance and report to Earth Command immediately. We should not attempt direct contact without permission." "But what if they are dying?" asked Dr. Foster. "What if they need help right now?" "The protocol says safety first," Ryan answered. "We do not know if they are friendly or hostile." Jake stood up and walked to the big window that showed the stars. As a young man, he had been a search and rescue pilot on Earth. He had saved people. From burning buildings, sinking ships, and crashed aircraft, the idea of ignoring a distress call made his stomach hurt. "How long would it take to get a response from Earth Command?" he asked Lisa. 6 weeks each way, she said. 3 months total. Jake thought about that. 3 months was a long time. "For someone who was dying, Captain," said Ben carefully, "I have to say something. Our ship is not really designed for rescue work. We have limited medical supplies and food. If we find a big group of aliens in trouble, we might not be able to help them. And if they are hostile," Ryan added, "we could be flying into a trap." Dr. Foster crossed her arms. "But if they are really in trouble and we do nothing, how many will die while we wait for Earth to send a proper rescue fleet?" Jake looked at his crew. These were good people, smart people. They all had families back on Earth who were counting on them to come home safely. But they were also explorers. Had signed up to go into the unknown and help expand human knowledge. "Lisa, can you tell anything else about the signal?" She worked at her station for a few more minutes. I am getting some other transmissions now. Very faint. Some of them sound like mathematical patterns. Others might be, I think they might, be medical emergency codes. Medical emergency codes, Dr. Foster asked. Yes. Basic mathematical sequences that any intelligent species might use to say people are hurt or people are dying. We learned about them in academy training. Jake made his decision. Ben, how long would it take us to reach the Kepler system? Days at maximum speed, Captain. Then set course for Kepler 442. We are going to take a look. Ryan stepped forward. Captain, I have to officially note my objection. This goes against our orders and first contact protocol, noted Ryan. But I am not going to ignore a distress call, even if it comes from aliens. Jake sat back down in his captain's chair. All hands, this is the captain. We have detected what appears to be a distress signal from an unknown source. We are changing course to investigate. Everyone should prepare for possible first contact with an alien species. This is not a drill. The ship hummed as the engines increased power. The stars began to shift as they turned toward the Kepler system. Jake hoped he was making the right choice. In 6 days, they would find out if they were flying toward history or disaster. The Wanderer dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the red star grow larger on the main screen. His hands were sweaty inside his gloves. Report, he said. To his crew, I am detecting the planet where the signals are coming from, said Lisa Garcia. Looks like there are buildings on the surface. Definitely artificial. Ben Parker checked his sensors. The planet has breathable air and normal gravity. But I am reading some strange energy patterns. Patterns? Jake asked. It looks like their power systems are failing. Some areas of the colony have no power at all. Dr. Amy Foster looked worried. How many life signs are you detecting? Ben worked at his controls. It is hard to tell. Alien technology is different from ours, but I think there are several hundred beings down there. Jake felt his heart sink. Several hundred lives were at stake. Lisa, can you make contact with them? Lisa tried different radio frequencies. Finally, she got an answer. Strange sounds came through the speakers. The alien language sounded like music mixed with clicks and whistles. I cannot understand them, Lisa said. But wait. There are some mathematical patterns in their transmissions. Basic counting sequences. They might be trying to communicate with numbers. Jake thought quickly. Send them our own mathematical sequence. Start with prime numbers. Lisa sent out a signal. The aliens sent the next prime number in the sequence. They understand, Jake said with relief. They know we are intelligent. But then the alien signals became more urgent, more desperate, Captain Ben said, reading his instruments. I am detecting a radiation leak on the planet. It looks like their nuclear reactor is having problems. Wow. Bad? Very bad? If it gets worse, the whole colony could be poisoned. Jake made a quick decision. Ben, you and Dr. Foster come with me. We are going down there. Ryan Cooper stepped forward. Captain, that is too dangerous. We do not know anything about these aliens. They could be hostile. Ryan, look at the readings. They are dying. Their reactor is about to melt down. We might be the only ones who can help them. But we do not even speak their language. Then we will have to learn fast. An hour later, Jake, Ben, and Dr. Foster rode down to the planet in their small shuttle. As they got closer to the colony, they could see the damage. Several buildings had no lights. Smoke was coming from one area. They landed near what looked like the main building. Jake could see alien figures watching them through windows. Looked scared. Remember, Jake told his team, we are here to help. Move slowly. Do not make any sudden movements. They put on their environment suits and stepped outside. The alien world smelled like metal and something else Jake could not identify. A door opened in the nearest building. A tall, gray alien came out. It was much bigger than Jake, with long arms and large, dark eyes. The alien made musical sounds and gestured with its hands. I think it wants us to follow, Dr. Foster said. They walked into the building. Inside, they saw more aliens. Some looked sick, others looked frightened. A few looked angry. The tall alien led them to a room full of computers and screens. Another alien, younger looking, was working at a control panel. When it saw the humans, it made excited musical sounds. Ben looked at the alien technology. This is incredible. Their computers are based on crystal technology, not silicon like ours. The young alien pointed at a screen showing the reactor readings. Even though Jake could not read the alien numbers, he could see that the red colors meant danger. Ben, can you understand their reactor system? Ben studied the displays. The basic principles should be the same. Nuclear reactors work the same, way everywhere. But their controls are completely different from ours. The young alien seemed to understand that Ben was an engineer, showed him more screens, pointing urgently at different readings. I think I see the problem, Ben said. Wait there. Cooling system is broken. The reactor is getting too hot. Dr. Foster was looking at sick aliens in another part of the room. She could not treat them without knowing their biology. But she could see they were suffering. Jake tried to communicate with the tall alien using hand gestures. He pointed at Ben, then at the reactor readings, then made fixing motions with his hands. The tall alien understood. It led them through the colony to the reactor room. The heat hit them even through their protective suits. This is bad, Ben said, looking at the reactor. If this melts down, it will kill everyone in the colony. But there was a problem. The reactor was built with alien technology. Ben did not know how to fix it. And the aliens did not know how to fix it either, or they would have done it already. Then Ben had an idea. Yes, I cannot fix their reactor, but maybe I can teach them how to fix it themselves. He started drawing pictures on a piece of metal with a tool from his kit. Simple diagrams showing how cooling systems worked. The alien engineers gathered around him, making musical sounds, slowly. Working together with drawings and gestures, Ben and the alien engineers began to understand each other. Science and engineering were like universal languages, but they were running out of time. The radiation levels were getting higher. Jake could hear the clicking of his radiation detector getting faster. In another part of the colony, more aliens were arguing. Jake could not understand their words, but their body language was clear. Some wanted the humans to help. Others wanted them to leave. The tall alien that had met them first seemed to be in charge. It looked torn between hope and fear. Jake realized that helping these aliens was about more than just fixing their reactor. It was about two different species learning to trust each other for the first time, and they had to do it before the reactor killed them all. The radiation alarm in Ben Parker's suit was beeping fast now. He wiped sweat from his face and looked at the alien reactor again. The metal was glowing red-hot, and cracks were starting to appear in the cooling pipes. How much time do we have? Captain Jake Morrison asked. Maybe 2 hours before total meltdown, Ben said. What? After that, this whole colony becomes a dead zone. Around them, the alien engineers worked frantically. The young one that had first shown them the problem was named Kyleven, Jake had learned. Kyleven had been trying to learn human words while Ben learned alien technical terms. Nexel, Kyleven said, pointing to the chief engineer. She knows. Reactor. Much. Nexel was a female alien with scars on her gray skin from years of working with dangerous machinery. She did not trust the humans at first, but when Ben showed her his repair drawings, her attitude changed. Engineering problems were the same everywhere in the universe. Ben and Nexel worked side by side, pointing at broken parts and making sketches. They could not speak each other's languages, but they both understood how things worked. This pipe here, Ben said, drawing a circle around a cracked cooling line. It needs to be replaced. Nexel made musical sounds and shook her head. She pointed to their spare parts room and made a gesture that clearly meant empty. No spare parts, Ben understood. Then we have to make them. In the medical area, Dr. Amy Foster was having her own challenges. 3 young aliens were very sick with fever. Their parents stood nearby, making worried sounds Foster could not treat alien diseases, but she could see that the sick ones needed water and rest. She used gestures to show the parents how to keep the patients cool and hydrated. One of the sick aliens was very small, probably a child. Its breathing was weak and shallow. Foster knew it was dying, but she did not know how to help. The child's parent, who seemed to be its mother, looked at Foster with large, sad eyes. Foster wished she could do more, but alien biology was too different from human biology. Then she had an idea. She pulled out her medical scanner and pointed it at the healthy aliens first, then at the sick ones. The scanner could not cure alien diseases, but it could detect differences in body temperature and heart rate. "Look," she said to the alien mother, showing her the scanner readings. "Your child's heart is beating too fast. It means fever." The mother could not understand Foster's words, but she could see the numbers on the scanner. Foster used gestures to show that cold water could help lower the fever. Meanwhile, Jake was dealing with a bigger problem. The older aliens, led by Elder Zefter, were angry about the human presence. They made loud, aggressive sounds and pointed at the humans. Administrator Vexstar, the colony leader, seemed caught in the middle. He looked tired and stressed. Through Kylvin's limited translation, Jake learned that there was a cultural conflict happening. "They say humans make us weak," Kylvin explained slowly. "Elder says, better to die with honor than live with shame." Jake tried to understand this alien way of thinking, but it made no sense to him. "Tell them we are not here to make anyone weak. We are here to help save lives." But the cultural divide ran deep. The older aliens believed that accepting help from strangers was a sign of failure. The younger aliens, who had grown up with more contact with the outside universe, were more willing to accept help. The argument became more heated when the small alien child in the medical area stopped breathing. Foster worked frantically to save the child, but without understanding alien physiology, she could only do basic life support. The child died in its mother's arms. The death sent shockwaves through the colony. The mother's grief was universal. Jake could understand her pain even without words. But Elder Zefter used the death as proof that alien help was useless. "If we had not waited for strangers," Kelvin translated the Elder's angry words, "we could have used our own medicine." But Kelvin was angry too. "No medicine left," he said to the Elder in broken English so the humans could understand. "All medicine used. Weeks ago, child died because we too proud to ask for help sooner." The confrontation was interrupted by an emergency alarm. The reactor temperature had spiked again. Ben and Nexel ran back to the reactor room. System they had been trying to repair had failed completely. "That's it," Ben said. "We need to shut down the reactor completely and switch to emergency power." But Nexel shook her head vigorously. She pointed to the power requirements for the life support systems. Emergency power would only last a few days. She's right, Ben realized. If we shut down the reactor, they have enough emergency power for maybe a week. Then everyone dies anyway. Jake joined them in the reactor room. "What other options do we have?" Ben thought hard. "We could try to build a new cooling system using parts from our shuttle, but it would mean we might not be able to get back to our ship." "Do it," Jake said, without hesitation. "Captain," Ben said, "if this doesn't work, we'll be stranded here too." Jake looked around at the alien faces watching them. Young Kyle Venn, who had risked his career to contact them. Engineer Nexel, who was willing to trust human knowledge to save her people. The grieving mother who had lost her child. "Then we'll all survive together, or not at all," Jake said. For the first time since they had arrived, Administrator Vexstar spoke directly to Jake. The words were in the alien language, but the tone was clear. "Gratitude and respect," Kylvin translated. He says, "You are brave people," he says. "Maybe strength is not about standing alone. Maybe strength is about knowing when to stand together." Ben headed back to the shuttle to get the parts they needed. Time was running out, but for the first time since they had arrived, Jake felt like they might actually succeed. The real breakthrough had not been technical. It had been learning to trust each other across the vast gap between species. 3 weeks later, the colony on Kepler 442c looked very different. Human and alien engineers worked side by side rebuilding the damaged systems. The emergency was over, but a new chapter was just beginning. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the colony's communication center, watching Kyle Vin and Lisa Garcia work together at a joint human-alien translation computer. They had made amazing progress in learning each other's languages. Captain Jake Kylvin said in much better English than before, "We are receiving signals from space. Big ships are coming." Jake felt his stomach tighten. He had known this day would come. How many ships? Human or Zephyrion? Kylvin said, looking worried. "My people are sending 5 warships. Your people are sending 3. Dr. Amy Foster joined them in the communication room. She had been working with the alien doctors to understand Zephyrian biology. Together, they had already saved dozens of lives. "The Earth ships are probably coming to arrest me," Jake said. "I broke a lot of rules when I made first contact without permission." "And my people," Kylvin said sadly. "They are probably coming too. ... How do you say? Punish us for accepting alien help." Administrator Vexstar entered the room. His English was still basic, but he could communicate simple ideas now. "No punishment," he said firmly. "What humans did ... was right. What my people will do ... is wrong." The past 3 weeks had changed everything in the colony. The older Zephyrians, like Elder Zephyr, still believed in their traditional ways. But many others had begun to question their culture's rigid rules. The breakthrough had come when Ben Parker and engineer Nexel successfully built a new cooling system for the reactor using parts from both human and alien technology. The hybrid system worked better than either species could have built alone. Dr. Foster had made progress too. Working with the Zephyrian doctors, she had developed basic medical procedures that could help both species. They still could not cure each other's diseases, but they could treat injuries and infections. More importantly, the humans and Zephyrians had become friends. Young aliens like Kylvin spent hours learning about Earth and human culture. Human crew members learned about Zephyrian art and music. "Ships will arrive in 6 hours," Kylvin reported from his instruments. Jake made a decision. "Send a message to both fleets. Tell them we are hosting a peaceful first contact meeting. Any ships that come with weapons charged will not be welcome." Dr. Foster said quietly, "You could face court-martial for this." "Maybe," Jake said. "But it was the right thing to do. These people would have died if we had followed the rules." As the hours passed, the colonists prepared for the arrival. Some Zephyrians were excited to see their own people again. Others were afraid of punishment. The humans were nervous about facing their superiors. When the ships arrived, Jake was surprised to see that the Zephyrian vessels kept their weapons powered down. The human ships did the same. The first shuttle to land carried Admiral Susan Carter from Earth Command. Jake had served under her years ago, and he knew she was fair but strict. The second shuttle brought High Commander Vorthak of the Zephyrian Collective. According to Kylvin, who was one of the most traditional leaders in their government. Jake and Vexstar met both leaders at the landing pad. "Captain Morrison," Admiral Carter said formally, "you are under arrest for violating first contact protocols and exceeding your authority," High Commander Vexstar said in his own language to the Zephyrian leader. Kylvin translated, "He says the colony failed and should be abandoned according to tradition." But then something unexpected happened. Young Kylvin stepped forward and spoke directly to both leaders. "With respect," he said in English, then repeated it in Zephyrian, "You are both wrong." Admiral Carter looked surprised that an alien was speaking English. High Commander Vortak looked angry that a young Zephyrian was challenging tradition. "Captain Morrison saved our lives," Kylvin continued. "Our people would be dead if he had followed your rules." "High Commander, our colony did not fail. We learned to be stronger by working with others." Behind Kylvin, more colonists gathered. Human crew members stood next to Zephyrian families. Engineer Ben Parker stood with Nexel. Dr. Foster stood with the alien medical team. "Look around you," Vexstar said to both leaders. "This is not failure. This is success. It's a species working together, learning from each other, making each other stronger." Admiral Carter walked through the colony, seeing the hybrid technology that worked better than either species could build alone. She saw human and alien children playing together, learning each other's languages. High Commander Vorthak saw young Zephyrians who were healthier and happier than they had been in months. He saw old problems solved with new ideas. That evening, the three leaders met in the colony's main hall. Jake expected to be arrested. Vexstar expected his colony to be disbanded. Instead, Admiral Carter made an announcement that surprised everyone. Earth Command has reviewed Captain Morrison's reports, she said. While his methods were unorthodox, his results speak for themselves. He has successfully established peaceful contact with a new species and prevented a humanitarian disaster. Commander Vorthak spoke in Zephyrian. Kylvin translated. He says the collective has decided to allow this colony to continue as an experiment in interspecies cooperation. Jake felt relief wash over him. So I'm not going to court-martial. Oh, you're definitely going to court-martial, Admiral Carter said with a slight smile. But I think you'll find the jury very interested in your success story. The real celebration came later. Both fleets agreed to establish a permanent joint base at the colony. Would be humanity's first embassy to an alien species. Okay. In the Zephyrians' first experiment in cultural exchange, Jake stood on the observation deck, watching human and Zephyrian engineers working together on new construction projects. In the distance, children from both species played in the colony's new park. Captain Kylvin said, joining him at the window. I have been thinking about what to call this place. It was Mining Station Theto 7, but that name does not fit anymore. What would you like to call it? Haven Station, Kylvin said. Because that is what you made it. Safe haven where people can find help when they need it. Jake smiled. Haven. Station. I like that. As the twin suns set over the colony, Jake reflected on how much had changed. They had come to investigate a distress signal and ended up making history. They had shown that when intelligent beings worked together, it could overcome any challenge. The universe was a big, dangerous place. It was a little less lonely now that two species had learned they could count on each other. In the distance, the communication array sent out signals to other star systems. The message was simple, but powerful. This is Haven Station. If you need help, you are welcome here. The age of humans standing alone in the galaxy was over. The age of cooperation had begun.